Hello and welcome to today's Magnetic Muse episode. I am your host, Jessica Ann, and I am joined by visionary, artist, mystic, seer, beauty, Sevda Hussein.
Thank you.
Today, I brought Sevda in because she is somebody who I feel embodies the full feminine force and who has walked the path through the underworld to reclaim all parts and really step into or lead from her essence, which is one of her words. And what I love as well is that actually it's not about stepping into or becoming. She talks about remembrance. She talks about really the evolutionary pathway is not one of losing parts, becoming parts. It's about remembering who you are and what was there in the beginning. So before I go into our stories and our interview, I want to just frame this episode around the idea of the maiden to the queen, which is a body of work that I've been developing, which really charts the evolutionary pathway from the maiden archetype to the queen and all that's in between. And the reason I frame it like this is because many of us, and I know this is true for you, have come from living in very distorted masculine templates, working 70 to 100-hour weeks, and living in what I call the wounded huntress archetype, which is, forcing, working very hard, leading your community, doing whatever you have to do. But what happened for me, and I'd love to unfold what happened for you, is when my huntress and my soul could no longer live in that very distorted, narrow kind of archetypes that I was leading from. I had a dark night of the soul. And when I had a dark night of the soul, what emerged was the death of the huntress and the emergence of the mystic and the wise woman. And what happened was I ended up giving away all my possessions and wandering the earth, following synchronicities and connecting to my soul and being guided directly from my soul. So really this episode is about the path of the heart. So Sevda, um, tell me, what does it feel like when, for you, and when the soul began calling you or into a different path?
So I've had quite a few. So
Uh,
my earliest one was 13. I literally got my start. I lived in I'm adopted. It was very, very toxic, very racist towards me. And I thought, and my adopted mother was narcissist. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. I just got my bag and went. And I had, and people, because I grew up with a lot of money, people around me were like, "You're crazy. You're leaving all that." And I was like, "No, I'm leaving it. I need freedom. I need to be able to think my own thoughts." And that was the beginning. And I've had like probably three, but that was the first one where I literally was homeless for 2 years. But you know what? I was fucking free. And
yes.
I could think my own thoughts. And some people think that was like a liberation, man. I could express myself, and I'm a very expressive person, as you might know. So, like, not being at like, "Oh, why are you wearing that? What are you doing that for? You're doing that so people look at you." And she had a lot of sexual oppression herself, which she then, like, "You're a whore, you're a slut, I got all the all those things that if you don't connect with your sexual energy, you know what I mean, you project. So, like, I'd had enough, and I just took a bag, I don't know, 10 things, the book, and I went, I'm done." And I was 13, and that was and then I became a sex worker, funny enough. Spent the rest
Amazing.
of my life as a sex worker until I changed my life again and I had another. And actually, I think clients actually have a bad rap in that industry because I'm still friends with a lot of my regulars. I mean, I had a lot of regulars. And I just want to say it's not true. If you do that job and you do it with an open heart and you do it because you might start doing it for the money, and that is true. Let's be honest, there's economics about. But actually, if you build a good client base, you get good clients.
Yeah.
I have never had an issue with a client, never. And
Yeah.
I did it for 30 years.
30 years. And did you find then it was like, because I actually think it's a very heart-centered, the way that you're talking about it, I think it is a heart-centered role, and it is actually a lot of
It's not
priestesses.
really sex work. Let's
No.
get real. Let's just
Yeah.
talk about it. It's not really sex work. It's really you're a counselor, you're somebody's gonna listen, you hear somebody, actually, it's a client who said to me, "You need to go and do your own business." It's a client who why I'm here now, who
Amazing.
said, like, "Oh my god, you just listen and you never judge." And I thought, "Wow." And then I realized, actually, this isn't sex work really. This is really I mean, there's a bit of that, but really, really, it's about hearing somebody,
Yes,
understanding somebody,
yes.
allowing somebody to speak without bloody speaking,
Mhm.
and holding space for people who don't feel understood, don't feel seen, don't feel important in their life. And then there's another part of sex which I think is also important. When you tell other women, they project, they're like, that's another one.
I also was a pole dancer when I was 22, and, one of the amazing things that I learned in that job, well, first I learned I was, like, not designed for pole dancing only because most of the men would pay me not to dance, but to sit and listen.
Right, right,
And the
right. That doesn't
same kind of
surprise
thing, like, I laugh because I was like, I was the worst pole dancer because they were like, "I'm not don't dance. I just want you to just sit with me." And it was that projector energy as well, the guiding, the sitting, the listening, and I guess that presence. What a
Yes,
man wants is
yes,
that feminine.
they want the people want people to hear them,
Mhm.
not to tell them what they think, but just listen.
What did you learn about feminine energy then? If we look at do you look at some of the Instagram and the mass voice on feminine energetics? What would you what's your take on this?
I wear my Lilith, so if you know a bit about I mean, I'm not into astrology. I think all of it can limit you, and I'm not I'm open to learning something different, but so far in my journey, it's felt like I've been boxed in, so I don't like boxes, so but I also am open that somebody might come along, you might tell me something different one day, and I might listen. I'm not, like, closed by, my experience so far, but, if I talk about my Lilith, which is I wear it on the outside and it triggers the fuck out of people. Because the feminine doesn't mean that we're sweet and we're kind and we say yes to everything and we dress in pink and we're all lovely and love and light. Actually, that is toxic. All that is
Mm,
actually toxic as fuck.
yeah, exactly. And so what I'm hearing, and I think we're both as well, this is why the work with the Maiden to the Queen is so, for me, I call it powerful because it's about the light and the dark. It's about the full feminine force, our full expression. And so picking up on what you said about being a sex worker, and actually what I'm hearing is what it was that was magnetic for you was the fact that you were deeply in your feminine power, and your magnetism was the fact that you were present, that you were able to hold space.
Yeah, and I earned a lot of money. I had a lot of regulars, and
Mm,
I was big. I've lost half my body weight, so I'm telling you, I was like 32 stone. You know what? I was one of the busiest women. So when women say men don't, I say bullshit. Not
yeah,
about your. It's not about your size. That is another condition thing.
yes,
And I have so many women in my inbox who say, "How can you be like you express, but you're plus?" Yes, because it's time bigger women took up space and actually allowed themselves to be who they naturally are and stop trying to conform to stupid standards of beauty. And I'm
yes,
Turkish. We've got big hips and big busts, and like if you don't like it, fuck off.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So when you were 13, would you consider that your first awakening then?
That was my well, actually, because I was adopted, and my real brother died when I was 6, and I started to hear voices. And I'm not meant to. I didn't.
Oh, cool.
Actually, my doctor said I was mentally ill. Just to make that really clear. I actually so a lot of this was a lot of the reason why I left scene as well. And I got dragged into mental health system. Out of not with my and of course schizophrenia and really psychic gifts. It
Yes.
just mirrors, and actually, which one are you? And I believe a lot of people in mental hospital. I mean, I'm not a doctor, go and ask, but personally, I believe it's a spiritual crisis, and they're having gifts, and we're giving them in the West, blocking and feeling, understanding, connecting, and that has damaged them, the person more, where people become so attached to being this illness that they don't allow themselves to evolve and actually step in to gifts that are probably really powerful. And if you're allowed
Absolutely.
to feel, if you were just, I really feel that we should have somewhere where people can go, where we can literally hold space for people, where they can scream, cry, let it all out. And actually, if somebody was allowed to do that, they wouldn't be mentally ill. They'd probably connect to gifts that are the real thing that's happening underneath all that.
You're talking so much sense, and I think what we're looking at here is two things as well about the suppression. I think what we're talking about is Western suppression and why
Right.
this imbalance. So when I talk about the distorted masculine template, I think actually we can also bring it into and before anyone in the audience, because I know everyone, I am only talking about the distorted because my work helps people come back into wholeness and balance and the evolved aspects as well as understanding the distorted. But in order to get to that, we need to look at what the symptoms and the problem is. And what I'm hearing as well is like so when I did my shamanic training in 2021, I found that I was found this research which was exactly that. It was literally on how many people were. There was a shamanic approach to mental illness somewhere
Yeah.
else, and what
Yeah. Yeah.
it was actually understood as spiritual as crisis,
Right.
uh, and what am I looking for? Like when you go the initiation. It was
Yeah.
actually an initiation pathway into one's gifts. And the problem with Western culture is that that is suppressed. So we're seeing not only is emotions and someone's actual essence fullness is suppressed, but then when we look at the masculine feminine, we're looking at the left side dominance. So I think therefore I am Descartes, and west again from there everyone's like, oh, intellect is the most important thing. So we even have underdeveloped intuition that people think it's magical when really it's just an innate gift, just a
Right.
part, normal
And I
part.
come from a shamanic heritage. I'm Turkic and Turkic. I'm Turkish. The Turkic people are all right from like Turkey all the way to China and Tenguism, and we deal with our dreams, and that's why do a lot of work with dreams.
I had a visitation last night from my dad, but we'll talk about it. That's when I saw your post and I was like, "Oh my lord."
It's like dreams are like the key for me. Dreams are the key. I mean, I don't really sleep much. I'm too busy dreaming. Yes, that's a whole other issue. Right. And I take my clients like work into my dreams and dream for them and bring things through for them.
Mm. Okay. Yes.
It's
Mm,
really under, I think, underused skills, especially in the West, where we've been told, "Oh, dreams are just fantasy," or "They're just what happened in the last 3 days," or whatever it is.
right. Yeah, no, I also work with my dreams very, very closely
Yeah,
and not process, but I get direct information. I get a
yeah,
range of different types of dreams. So I get direct information from me when I'm evolving or transforming something in my own psyche. I see the story unfold. I see the part, and then I'm like, okay. But I also I have visitation dreams. Some dreams are prophetic. Some things
yeah.
come.
Snap,
Yeah,
snap. Yeah,
yeah. Okay. So you talk about remembrance. So you have a retreat coming up. Let me not forget about it. Let's actually start focusing around how like all of this, all of the work and the retreat. So you speak beautifully about remembrance. What do you believe women are truly remembering when they return to themselves?
they're remembering who they truly are. But if I'm gonna put it in a bit more fancy language, maybe we're just remembering the ancient truth of ourselves, and we're just shutting out the noise and recalibrating to truth, reclaiming, honoring, allowing, being, and actually just allowing the bigness and the fullness and the brightness and too muchness and everything that we are to actually just be who we are.
Mm. What do you think blocks the signal?
I think the world, what we're told to do, what we're told we should do, how we're told we should live, how we're told we should make money, how we're told we should dress, how we're told we should size we should be, how we're told everything we're told. So if we can shut everything we've been told, we'd probably get near the truth.
And what we're talking about as well, I mean, you are the embodiment of somebody who has completely transcended the lower chakras, because people who are stuck in the lower chakras are people that they're in the religion. They have to be part of something external, some power external to them, or they're in the organization, part of the group or the cult or their family unit. And many I don't see many people really walking the individuation pathway. Do you think it's because most people aren't designed on this journey in this lifetime to do that?
I don't think that actually. I think we just people don't know. I think people I mean, if you don't, if I say to this, I go up to the street in London and say, "Do you remember yourself?" And they're probably going to say, "What do you mean?" So that's why I try to explain it in multiple ways and I try to give visuals because I think visuals is really good for us to feel it. Why I'm all about feeling it in the body because I can tell you anything. But if you don't feel it, there's absolutely, it doesn't matter what words say.
It
And
just
that's why I'm about graphics. People think I've been told years about, but you're trying to perform. I'm not trying to perform. I'm trying to get people to feel something. And
yeah,
an ancient architecture that allows them to really come home in that moment. The problem is we have people scrolling and that, and people don't actually sit with something. They
no.
think, "What's that? That's rubbish." But actually, if you just sat with something, maybe it would move you.
Mm. Yes. Something came up for me the other day about symbol, but I can't remember. Right, the edge. In your post the other day, you wrote, "I have spent my whole life walking at the edge, whilst most people choose the safety of the majority." What have you discovered at the edge that most people never experience?
The edge is where the wisdom is. I'm going probably quite.
Oh,
The edge is like when I left home at 30, well, even in my adopted family before 30, I was really somebody I didn't fit in with them, I didn't fit in with it's about living in a very white area, if you know it, like Henley-on-Thames, so really white, like 99.9, like even now, like 35 years later or whatever. Right, so that was just I was on the edge. I didn't go to school, I used to sit in the in the wimpy bar with my friend, he was also adopted. We used to sit about and talk about the world and what we were gonna do, and that was the edge. Then I was a sex worker, that was the edge. Most people like, "You're a sex worker?" Like, that was the edge, that was 35 years, and, I spent time in and out of mental hospitals, that's also the edge,
yeah.
but what it allowed me to do is to actually stop not allowing the world to tell me and to listen, and that doesn't mean it's been easy. It's been a heartache. I've been on the floor crying. I thought I've gone crazy. I think at times I've actually said, "Oh, maybe I am crazy." Uh, but being on the edge is where you hear the silence. When you really shut out the noise, not what you think the noise is, but really just don't let anyone, yeah, I think the wisdom is really in the edge if you can be on the edge and not have to fit in. I've never fit I'm not somebody who wants to either, I have to say. I've never wanted to. It's not something that interests me because the edge for me is conditioning. No, the majority is for the conditioning, and I don't want to be part of it.
Mm.
And I have at times, especially in business, hired people who just can't see my depth, don't understand, and try to say, "You need to do like," and that's another problem, I think, because we have to honor what's true for us. And we have to hire people that allow us to be us, not another system that they're trying to fit you in. I think it's really important.
100%, 100%. And it's why I also struggle with I can't I can't actually follow other people actually. I think I've got like I know we talk about systems, but 5710 is my only channel in human design. And that gate 57 is it's not there are gates of deafness in the chart where you are actually designed to block out
I
external.
have deafness in my chart. I have
43.
absolute deafness,
Have you
yes.
got 43?
Yes, I have
Yeah.
absolute deafness, and I am. I've hired a coach and thought, I just, "What? No way, no way, I'm not doing this all the way."
Yeah, and so and with me, that 57 is just like, I just cannot, I won't accept. I won't listen, and I tune it out because it's because my soul is very loud. My higher self guidance is very loud, and my internal trust for all of the ways, and that's the other thing, like, so I have a unique philosophy, of course I do, on human design, and how I describe it is like this: human so Ra came to the world and brought this system and he was speaking to a very big mass of people that were very unconscious and shut off from their true authentic self.
Yeah,
And so he spoke about the not self and this design strategy, right? Like, everyone's got this strategy for a decision making strategy. For me, because I came to human design as had already connected with my intuition and would walk in the path of my soul, I was like, "Well, that's survival strategy. That's
well,
survival."
maybe that's why I struggle with, because actually, I found people decide after all this after maybe that's why I struggle with it. Maybe that's right.
Yeah, of course, because you already know yourself, like, you've already got the thing. So, that is what I call survival intuition, but what happens when you're going beyond that, you start to have what I call creative intuition, which is information in your dreams, information through the body,
Yeah, yeah,
claircognizance, you just know something. So you have all these streams, and what happens is some people just get stuck with the system and the idea. Actually, I don't want to get too much off track, but this morning I was like downloading these amazing ideas for a podcast, and what it was this idea because. So the G center, they say that
yeah.
the divine
I
G
know.
center is a fixed identity, but actually, I'm like, well, what if that's not actually the case, and it's because it's not the case. And
Right.
consciousness, when we because then how does consciousness work? It For me, human design is an expression of the quality of consciousness in the operating
Yeah,
system.
that makes sense.
So that's another episode that I want to talk about. Anyway, well, getting off track, let's move into um frequency. Let's talk about this. So you said, I often see art, others see art, I see frequency. Can you speak more about how feminine intuition begins to perceive beyond the logical mind?
I think I manifested Egypt. I can use it. Egypt was a really good one. I just kept visualizing it. And it felt like I was peeing around myself, like, I want to go to Egypt, not doing anything about it. Like, no, I want to go to Egypt. This has been a dream for years. So, like, and I thought, it's just ridiculous. Like, 6 weeks, I was just seeing it, feeling it, touching it. I was like walking down the street, I could see myself, and 6 weeks, I got the money. There we are.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking
So when
about.
we really focus, I mean, if somebody wants to go deeper, you could look up a bit of, what's it, creative visualization. I mean, and I know that if you've got certain ADHD, you might struggle with that. But what I would say is, as long as it's coming through a sense, either you can smell, taste, touch, feel, hear. One of them is okay. Even perceive and intuition, as long as you can imagine, really one of those senses, and whichever one is fine. We don't have to get locked into, oh my God, I can't see, so I can't manifest. No, that's bullshit.
Mhm, mhm.
Like we can. I think we perceive it. And I think, like, when I close my eyes, I just see symbols. I mean, I could just like be in a world cuckoo. Yeah, just close my eyes, see symbols all the time.
It just reminded me of, I had that dream of you a couple of months ago. So you were in my dream, and we were in a booth, and it was a velvet booth. It was beautiful, very dark room,
I
velvet.
love that.
And you opened my palm and you put a gold, it was a gold symbol in my palm, but I don't know what the symbol was. And that was the dream. And now here we are.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I see symbols. And I think it might be different for you, but it's something like that will happen. You'll find a gift that allows you to perceive. And I also automatic write. I can sit and channel people's wisdom, like to write. I write pages about. I mean, it depends on you, but something will come through in your feminine truth.
Mm.
And it might be a totally new skill. You might suddenly become creative and you've never been. I mean, I wouldn't have called myself creative at 13. I would say I was really good with fashion and color, and I trained as a makeup artist later on, but I would never have called myself. And people say, "Oh my God, you're so amazing. How did you get all the ideas?" I'm like, "Love, I have more ideas than I'd ever put out."
Yeah. I don't know what that is as well, because actually, I mean, I was always a musician, never could draw. Like that kind drawing was never my thing. Back when I was doing my shamanic training, suddenly I could draw really well. I don't now because I just don't. It just
Right? So I would never have said at 13 that
Mm.
I would sit on a video talking and allow people to. Because when I was a child, I went to school and they made baby study photos, the study photos, and because I had a lot of racism, I had a lot of issues on that thing, and I would never think I would be able to speak on camera, speak a lot, use my voice every day nearly, channeling messages, like, I would never, like, and something really, and this is a trigger warning, so if you're gonna be triggered, please go for a few minutes. Like, I took a massive overdose, and I nearly died, and this is fascinating. So I had a different voice. You won't believe this is
Wow.
fascinating. So, when I woke up, I had this really deep voice. I was like, and when I did a lot of research into my bloodline, we speak and sing with this really deep, like if you had like deep throat singing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the heritage I come from. And suddenly, like it was really bizarre. So I believe that's a remembrance there. Look, it came back. I'd somehow lost that fake part of me had gone. And and so like people say, "Oh my God, you did that." But actually, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have connected to my true voice.
Yes. So interesting.
Everything's a blessing, even if you don't know it.
Exactly. And another form of initiation. It's
Right.
just with a healer that I read about or somewhere heard about, and he he had an electric shock and, like, had it in it and he started, like, he got
Right.
electrocuted, and
Yeah.
after that, because he wasn't following his soul, and he kept just ignoring the whispers and the nudges, and then he had this initiation moment. Yes, it was dramatic, nearly died, but then he started channeling Isis, and he developed all of this
Lovely.
work. So it's that
Yeah.
so like you, that initiation moment, shift
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Uh, so I loved when you said that your retreat is not where you stay dependent on me forever. What are your thoughts on the healing industry sometimes creating dependency instead of sovereignty? Or do you not give a fuck?
Yeah. I actually think there's a big problem. Do we actually need to be going to hear this? Sorry, I'm just going to say how it
Yeah,
is.
do it. Just be
Do you actually need to? I've never gone to a healer. I've done my own journey, and maybe it's for some people it's beneficial.
Mm.
I do think that we could get very attached, and I'm going to be honest. I had clients that were very neat. I've had clients that I had to fire
Yeah, yeah.
because they're in my inbox every day. They want to do this, they want me to do that. I mean, but I don't actually think it's their fault, and I'm going to be honest. I think that some in the industry, like people are coming are codependent. I want to work with you for like 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then I go. But you'll get potent, intimate, intense. I'll be in your face. I'm sorry, but I'll be in your face to really honor. And then you go and live your life. And if you want to message me and say, "Look, how are you getting on?" You don't need to hire me again.
Yeah. And I think it's the same like when I was a teacher, like an educator, the mark of a great educator is like you empower somebody to become self-led. You empower them to develop the thinking steps or the thinking tools so they can move from my phrase when I was an educator was moving from dependence to independence.
Right?
Um, so
It's
because what
it's
I
called what do you call it? It's what's it called? When you're at university,
spoon fed
critical think. You have to be able to critically
thinking.
think away into. Like, actually, I think if you've had a lot of trauma, that isn't helpful. Actually, I think it's actually more abuse in some way.
What to have somebody to be dependent on somebody
Yeah,
else.
I think it is because you don't allow that person to stand in their own.
It's amazing because I actually did write a post on this morning, which I've scheduled for later because it was like 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I keep writing posts that no one sees, but it's on this exact same subject. And I think the actual root of it is a lot of practitioners and healers are actually creating this unconsciously, either through a savior complex or some sort of need to be needed, or even darker than that, their own unsexy conditioning where they're still trying to prove their worth and earn their value. So rather than understanding the potency and having clear energetic boundaries, and I'm guilty, I've learned this because I've learned it from
No,
doing.
I'm an overgiver. I
Yeah,
mean, I do. I mean, I would say I probably give more than I need to,
yeah,
but I don't mind, if I'm holding the right standard and I am I filling my cup up, like, I don't mind. But there's a point where when people, it's one person, like, literally all day on a Saturday, like, and it was my weekend. I am I am patient, but, like, there's a point, like, when patience and me just fall out, and I just said, "Look, this isn't." I was really quite I was quite, because I've got Aries communication, so, like, I am very far. Yeah, I can get to the point where it's like, "No, no, 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 this isn't working for me."
yeah,
Like, but that's my fault, and I no, it's nothing to do with her really. That was my
no,
fault, and I should have been much stronger about, "No, this isn't," but I let it going on and going on, and then I was like, it was like like getting to so, I learned something, be really, like, clear about when you can contact me, when you can't,
yeah,
and learn to walk away, and you have to deal with their stuff themselves.
yeah. So my final question, and if there's anything else you want us to talk about, we can do that. And or that you want to talk about the retreat. Is there any before I ask that question? What would you like people to know about how to contact you?
My retreat is, remember, I've got 4 or 5 different. I've got 1 space on each, depending. And it's to come to Egypt. I'm gonna book a beautiful location. Everything is gonna be paid for within the price, and we're gonna go to ancient sites and stand so you can feel what I'm talking about in your body. And also, we're gonna do some work around that because it's obviously, but there is gonna be a part of it that's we're literally gonna go to an ancient site that I feel is aligned to the person's soul, depending on who that is, so they can really experience a feeling, knowing that is downloaded into their DNA as they stand there. And that is the most powerful experience you can have if you've never had one like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so final question, and yeah, I guess it's like an initiate. Like people are coming to be initiated, really.
Yeah, it's initiation back to self. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. What happens when a woman finally remembers who she is, from your perspective?
She comes in harmony, in balance, in peace, doesn't feel stressed, health improves.
Mm,
Like me, I personally lost half my body weight and I've never been on a diet.
yeah,
I literally, and even now I'm still losing weight, it's just because I'm happy.
yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, we're dieting," I mean, I just believe that dieting is actually making it worse.
Just yeah,
And I actually believe that the more we worry about our weight, the more we eat, we end up eating not consciously, because we're thinking about, oh my god, food, food, food. But actually, I just have come and lost weight, and I've never dieted. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen for everyone. I don't know. I can't predict that. But I'd be interested if you gave it a go and just became happy. I wonder what would happen.
yes.
And maybe you might be surprised beautifully. Maybe.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think we come and we have higher standards. We honor our work and we don't keep saying, trying to make it smaller than it is. We actually probably get bolder, bigger, more loud. Our energy becomes more magnetic. We become more honest about who we are and what we do. And that is magnetic.
mm, yeah,
And it will trigger the people who haven't done the work. Let's get real. And that used to trigger me at one point. But I had to realize that this is not about me. This is not about me. This is about others. And that's challenging in the beginning, that bit,
yeah.
I think.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone wants to contact you, how can they do that?
They can just message me on Facebook.
Yep, Sevda Hussein.
I don't have it. I don't do websites, so, like, that's it.
Nor do I. Nor do I. People just find me, and I'll drop your Facebook link in the.
And I've also got a little gift. Would you like me to
Oh yeah! Oh
tell
my
you live?
lord!
So, I don't know if this is your real name, so I went to look at your name, and I thought, I'm gonna try and do this quickly. I
There's no
decoded
rush. There's no rush.
quickly. So J is the manifestation hook. It's a point that gives you the ability to bring abstract insights and dreams down from the ether, ground firmly into the physical reality. This blew me away. So I want you to know this is going to be like even more like E, the triple field, physical body, emotional soul, divine mind, all at once, all at the same time, simultaneously. S, encrypted serpent, wisdom, ability to have immense intuitive power,
Oh my
spiritual
lord.
depth, and you can hide it in plain sight sometimes. Because you have a double encrypted serpent, intuitive current, massive amplifier, all clairs that care gives, doubling the secret wisdom and protection. I is spiritual raw power of individual will, direct connection. I am consciousness itself.
Oh my god. This is like,
How am I finished? Then we've got Luna, cosmic womb that governs capacity to hold and store and remember information. It's a deep well for ancestral spiritual memory. A, the entry point of raw spirit, clean slate, fresh, uncorrupted source of energy. And A, second entry point, the pure spiritual force, refreshing personal field. N is the rising snake, the aliveness, the high physical moving vitality through your blood, DNA, wisdom. N is double nervous system, high amplifier, feeding physical body with intense spiritual electricity blueprint. You are not passive, you're active around spiritual, you're a spiritual filter, grounded seer. You're not floating with your gifts. That's why you like you take high intense wisdom that you feel in your core, your DNA, your blood, you anchor it safely on earth. You have a massive raw spirit and you're here to behold secret wisdom. You can walk through a room and environment and read it. You keep your power invisible sometimes for those who can't understand it. You guard and amplify secret wisdom. You stand firmly in your individual will. I know. You hold the memory of the cosmos. The fuel is your current, your pure, vital life force.
that is 100% spot on. And so Jessica Ann is my first and middle name, and my mum's name is Anne. My surname is Shillingford, but I dropped it, and so it's Jessica
Well,
Ann.
that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, you've got that. And when I did that, I was like, oh my god, yeah, this is that. This is like
Yeah.
this is definitely.
Yes, 100,000%. And my gene keys. So my path is the serpent path.
Yeah,
So
I did read that, and
yeah,
I think with my gene kit name, they say I was it 60?
is that your? So what
Yeah,
your? No, your
profile was a
profile.
6-2 generator, and I
Okay.
have access to ecstatic, like ecstatic to be an ecstatic, and I am an ecstatic. Really, that's how I channel. I get ecstatic state, and like it comes.
Mm.
So that
Do you know
it's
what your conscious sun sign is? The conscious sun, like yeah, the four gates. So the first number. Do you remember it?
it's what you mean, like the 6-2 or
So that's your profile. So I'm a
right?
1-3, but my 54 is my conscious sun. So in Gene Keys, life work. What's your life work? Do you remember that?
41.
Oh,
And the
okay.
I mean, I don't really understand the Morphic read. I mean, I have read it, and I've thought, yeah, that does sound. It's very like you can bring absolute unique. And I suppose I do bring absolute unique things too. Actually,
But that's what when you talk about DNA, that's what the morphic field is as well. Your
yeah,
intellect.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you're able
yeah,
to like it was I think that was the one where Mozart was just dropping the music. Like you said, I could just be creative because you're able when you're in tune and you're able to just connect with collective field and bring things through. That's
yeah.
really
I do, and I really had a problem when I signed with anybody, anybody who does this in my life. Like, you've got to create this type of program, and I'm like, no, that's not mine.
yeah.
I don't want to create a $24 program. Like, no thanks. No, thank you. I want to create something that's transformational, that's next level. I want to, because I also like studied, what do you call it, event management. So I know how to put on like, I want to create a whole immersive experience that's going to fucking change your life. So you never experienced
Yeah.
anything like it. That's what I want to create. I don't want to create a $24 book. Like, but I'm going to put fire nails in my eyeballs if you make me do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Exactly. In fact, as you're 6'2".
yes.
amazing. So in my Align Business Accelerator right now, I've got 2 6-2s actually. I'm surrounded by 6-2s, but one of them, we're calling it the audacity offer because her deepest frustration was, I don't want to do what everybody is telling me to
Oh
do.
my
It's
god, that was a
yeah,
bit
like
this has been my
£24
this
offer,
has been my
£20 offer,
real
this modules and this and that, and, like, it was, like, driving her to frustration, and I said, "Well, let's just strip that back. Let's tune in, and let's create an audacity offer which is completely from your soul, and it's going to work because you're going to do." So it's like, she's not designed to be doing all of this this general strategic things that people think they should do, and then they actually don't do anything, or well, in her case,
yeah, right. So when I've been in programs and they say, you got a 24 program, you've got a middle program. I know I would just want high end program because I know I'm worthy and I can hold that and I have the wisdom for that. I don't need to. And if you want a low end program, find somebody who's going to offer you that. That isn't me, and I'm not going to do it. And actually, I spent 3.5 years trying to do it, and I
Mhm.
had like really didn't get any sales because you can imagine that I didn't really want to do it. And that has been my frustration that I have to have this, and you got to do. But no, I want to create an event. I want to create an experience that you've never had before. I want to. I want you to feel like you've been through initiation. That your life feels like, oh my god, what was that? When you get in the plane home,
Exactly, and you will, and that's exactly it
right?
with me. My work is high end, it's premium, it's
Right.
it's not I don't
And we
want
don't have to
to
have
dilute.
like a low ticket program. If it's not for us, I mean, some
No,
people maybe that's good.
yeah,
Maybe
but
they like that, but
yeah,
I'm not interested in that.
no, and because I'm not for the masses. I'm also not for the
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I know I'm not. But yeah, right.
masses, and it's like, that's not my work, that's not who I am, it's not what I'm very intimate, high end.
Yes, I think that's why we're aligned. I
Yeah,
actually like I did put I did try and work out our alignment. It was like really good because you've got a lot of letters like me. So I was like, yeah, that's why I feel like yes.
um,
And I
resonance.
think we have to honor what's right for us. Now, somebody might say they don't want to do like a high ticket. That might really frustrate them. Like, and that is fine. But I think in business, we're told often we should do this or we should have it. But what is right for you? That's the main thing.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
more times if we just tune into that, my wisdom in this business journey has been stop listening to everybody else. And
Yeah,
what actually do I want to do? And honor that, even if it takes a year to get a client. Honor
100%.
that, even if it takes 5 years. Honor that because that is your truth.
Yeah, and that's what I would call, and that's when I call the signal. Like, and when you're strong in your signal and coherent in the truth of what wants to come through you, and I call it either the goals of the soul or or art from the heart is one of my other phrases. And when I talk about art, I'm talking about the offer, the transmission, the thing. um, the people will come. They find you. Like I was explaining that when I was in my, so there was, I've gone through a year. I took a year off. I went through a big initiation and a big internal alchemy again, like constant evolution. But I'd been in online business from like 2021. I had my awakening 2019. Wandered the earth. 2020, wandering the earth. So those 2 years, COVID brought me back to England, but I was still like, I was just integrating, having suddenly this, like, giving away my whole life and completely shifting my identity and everything that I knew. And so then the journey began of, well, because my whole identity was a teacher. I was a master. I was like, that was my career. And now I have, who am I? Well, what do I do? And then I started learning, my energy tools and my subconscious reprogramming tools and all the things, human design, gene keys, and retraining to bring my new body of work to the world. And did the year of shamanic training. Really, well, that was not like authentic shamanic training, like going into the wilderness and doing all of that. What it was, I don't do ayahuasca or plant medicine. It was really about me
I
connecting.
don't either.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's about
yeah.
my soul,
Right.
like connecting with the soul and the non-physical realm. So all that stuff in those letters, it was me remembering. It was a journey of
Right. And remembering, right.
right, and developing that silence so that I could hear, and that solitude. So really, it was a lot of work of going into the non.
That's why I talk a lot about like the voice of silence because that is actually a voice, our truth.
Yeah,
But often we're not even connected to it or hear it because we're so busy in like doing or listening or what should we do. But when we actually shut out all that, we can actually hear our own. internal voice, spirit,
Yes.
of consciousness.
Yes. Exactly. And then I began to learn all these things. So I set up groups, set up mindset alchemy. I created a healing modality called mindset alchemy, and it was all about the subconscious. But I was also going through my initiation as well of becoming. Well, I wouldn't call myself a healer. I don't know how I would describe what I actually do in that, like who I. There's no
I
idea.
think you're a priestess, though,
Priestess.
personally.
That's the word. Actually, that is the word. Thank you.
I actually trained as a priestess, but I can feel priestess energy.
Yeah.
Everyone in my field right now is a priestess that I engage with. I can feel it. Um,
That's the word. That is exactly the word, right? So, as I was going through this journey of initiation, so I started with the mental body. So, I got deep into how do we recode the subconscious mind? How does it work? Deep, like, I'm a one line to depth. And then it was the etheric body. So, I got deep into the chakras and how does the energy body feel, work, and all of that. And so, I began to understand coherence and co creation on all of the levels, what it really meant to
yeah,
actually
and I think,
fulfill.
so many women say they can't create, but the thing is, are you like create? Like, I think people think, I've heard people like for me, oh, you can create really, but I didn't just wake up one day and just become this master creator, or whatever people think. I don't know if that's about them. But
Mhm.
like, I do think we have to, creativity is like writing. We have to actually have a creative practice and every day show up for it. And then actually we will be able to create ourselves, but whoever I'm talking to easily with flow and ease because it's a muscle that you have to build.
Mhm.
Like anything, I think people, because it's creativity, that we don't have to practice being creative.
Yeah.
And I do think we get to, I mean, I know you are, and I am. I can create, I can have 19 ideas in a day, like before 7 o'clock. Like, I'm like, oh my God, which one? Which one? But that's another challenge on its own. But like, I do think every woman and every man is creative.
Oh god, yeah.
And I think we have to show up for it. It's not going to just be, you're not just going to be like, sit there and suddenly, something magical and a bomb is going to go off with glitter in your room and you're suddenly going to be this amazing best of great. I think we have to show up for it and it will become that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think you will become the most amazing creative if you just put a little bit of work in, maybe.
Yeah, 100% I agree. And it's like and from there, I I've kind of narrowed myself down. I was like, okay, because I was testing all these content, marketing, like learn. Because again, I was an English graduate. Language communication is a big thing for me. It's part of my skill. So I was like, okay, it's content. So I need to understand marketing. And so I zoomed myself down. I was like, well, who's the ideal clients that I could work with? Who do I understand?
I
What's
feel quiet.
Yeah. So it's projectors. And so I created the Projector Success Hub. But all of that to say, that was when everything worked. And suddenly I had everything coherent. So I had YouTube videos. People would just watch it. I didn't sell. I just created videos and people would projectors because it was an identity they could recognize. They would
Yeah.
watch the video. I don't have a website. They would find me out of nowhere. But I say all of that because I started with the story of the 6-2 and the frustration. And what we're bringing forward now is the audacity offer. I've always said to them, it's about the elements. Once you understand the elements, you then can create in your own way. It's like, so online business for coaches, healers, priestesses, it's about understanding the elements. It's like being a chef, understanding the elements and creating, so you don't have to follow the recipe, but you
No.
just create. And once you know that, you can just show up and do it, and the magic
Yeah. And
unfolds.
I think for me, like, I know that you're talking to the other day for voice. I mean, me, I spend 2 hours every morning in silence. That is my, and another hour in the evening, very late in the evening, like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, just listening because I think that's when I get my thumb. And that is my creative time. I might make notes and then take it and do something with it. But I think like silence is important for the creative to really hear.
100%. Yeah, and today is my silent day. So after this session, like I woke up this morning and I knew it was a day for inwardness. And I also think like I don't follow transits and I don't follow astrology per se, but I definitely because I've always followed my soul. So when I've had people say, "Oh, do you follow the transits?" and do you know, I go, I don't need to because I wake up and I tune into what's going on that day. But
Me as well, like, because you see a lot of it, don't you? Oh my God, this is in this. I can't do anything for the next 6 days." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Stop, like, give your power away."
Yeah.
That's why it triggers probably why it triggers me, because it's like astrology, because it's so, and it's so, like, if everybody who was, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm just gonna use that. If everybody who's an Aquarius was the same, and every Taurus and every Libra, we would all be walking around like little robots. Surely that is not true. Just saying.
Yeah. I think the problem is that people only give sound bites and half
Right.
the explanation and not the depth. But I don't know the full depth. But for me, I wake up and I can feel into what I need
Yeah.
or my soul is called. And I know, and I say that to say today I've had a really inward day, and I have one thing at 8 o'clock which is late for me, but I just really want to connect with this particular person. And but other than that, it's a day where I'm going to be shutting off, and I do think it is because of that supermoon that's coming up on May the 16th, in 2 days from now, which is the beginning of that 19-year cycle, a new 19-year cycle. And I could feel that I can see that when I hear that, I see the correlation, but it's not, but it doesn't cause, it's not the cause. It's just,
Yeah, I think more women need to actually, like, just choose yourself.
yeah,
Stop listening to all these systems. It's not everybody. A lot of it is very, like, putting you in this
yeah,
and saying you're that. But it's no different from anything else then.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I have I'm a rebel, really. I'm a rebel. I have a problem with being told who I am, and I'm not that.
yeah.
Or,
No,
hey, we should allow people to be who they are.
yes, yeah. And people should allow themselves to be who they are.
Well, that's enough. That's enough. But also, you hear like, "Oh, I knew this girl, and she was such and such," and because they've had a bad experience with that such and such, then everybody with that sign and that such and such becomes that person. No, that's awful. You can't judge people like that.
I'm a Capricorn, and so many
Right.
people, as soon as they hear Capricorn, they're like, "Oh, I hate Capricorns," and I'm not. I don't even. There was. I don't even see. I see elements of the Capricorn characteristics, but actually,
I
when I
think,
look,
yeah, I can see the structure. But then I've got some Capricorn as well, actually. So I'm very logical myself in a way. I'm logical, but also spiritual. I walk in both worlds, but
yeah,
I bet you do.
yeah, of course, I do, and
Right.
for a long time though, which is why I developed Maiden to the Queen, because this is what happened. How I ended up developing that was what I and my work with masculine feminine integration
Right.
and union, which is my big work that's birthing through me, and my thought leadership. Because what I've understood is that I. If we have all of these within us, and if they're imbalanced or if they're underdefined, then we have the problem. So what happened for me when I was the huntress, and we can call it the huntress archetype, when I was in my distorted masculine, whether it's distorted masculine, whether it's the huntress, who was actually developed because the model and how my view of the masculine was shaped was that I created that internal belief that I had to provide for myself and be self-sufficient and develop those maladaptive, hyperactive, hyper-independent patternings.
Yeah.
So when we look at that, it's like, oh, well, the huntress is actually just a woman who didn't have a healthy masculine model or even provision. So she created this armor, and this archetype became very strong. The huntress in her highest expression is very, very powerful, which is who I've become, right? And so what I
Right.
realized was, oh, the reason that that body of work had to do it, because when my soul literally said no more and killed the huntress, I was like, well, and it was stripped. I was stripped, like everything I had was my career, and once that was taken, because I physically I couldn't do it. Like my soul was like, no, I I had an identity, like I didn't know who I was. And that's why I say I was stripped. And what happened was the mystic emerged. And what happened then was the maiden came out as well, because I'd been so serious, so focused, so driven, so career wise. Like it was
Yeah,
and
I was a bit like that as well in my, yeah. Yeah.
but then when that she got killed, I lost
Right.
even good parts of her, and I became this mystic. I'm following the signs. I'm like wandering around, and it was great for like a year. Like, I don't, where are you living? I don't know. Let's see what happens today. Like literally like that.
Right, yeah, it's the
And,
restricted in.
but then, like, a couple of years go by and my business is inconsistent. I'm not the structure of it, so my masculine was never cultivated to be healthy. In my the distorted, I was taking stimulants to be driven and to keep up, and then I took that away, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in my feminine," like, and without even knowing about anything about feminine energetics, my soul guided me back to the feminine path, which was intuition, follow the signs, like trust the presence, and be in flow. But then I was imbalanced. I was too much that side. And so now, that year of last year was like in a union. And now I can see this is an 8 year numerology for me as well, by the way, whatever that means. And so now I'm seeing, okay, now you're actually building something
And it's
coherent.
like, yeah, it's like I was living in Romania before, but like I knew, and like I've been here. I've only been here about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't even know. But I feel like like even though I knew where I was before, I'm so much peaceful. I don't feel stressed. I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping less, but like more solid, like real sleep. And I'm doing things. And I feel like, oh my god, this ancient. It might be hot and all that. It's beautiful, and the people, and I just there's something moved in me. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I think, we always have to follow our truth because if we don't, there's some reason that we're being called, wherever it is, doing something, being somewhere, acting, whatever it is. I do think there's a reason. People say, oh, I hate it when people say there's a reason for everything, but I just believe there is. There is a reason for everything.
Mm,
If you allow yourself the space to allow yourself to know what that reason is, and that might not come like straight away.
exactly. And that's the thing. And I think that's always what when I help people to bring their genius, to create their magnum opus, it is that. It's about actually joining and connecting all the dots, and you get to see, well, all of that. For me, I'm looking, and this could be my Capricorn boss. I'm not a boss lady at all. That is not my frequency. I'm very I'm still driven, and I still believe in creating powerfully on the material plane, but it's not the boss girl frequency. It's the feminine, it's feminine flow, it's feminine energetics. But
Yeah, I think feminine flirt. I like that.
yeah, but it's that thing of connecting. When you say everything happens for a reason, I see that through my creative expression. My embodied wisdom comes through every single
Yeah, and
learning.
everything, every lesson, every wisdom, even every breakdown challenge
Yeah,
builds who you are, who you're becoming, who
yeah.
you remember that you are, and who your body of work. And I believe that body of work is the work that you leave when you're gone. It's more than legacy. Like it is important. And if we aren't building that in truth, because there's a lot of thing about art, isn't there? Like all this aesthetic stuff, like, oh, look at my brand. It's so but actually, that is just, I'm sorry to say it, like what they call it, shiny object syndrome, because actually, real art doesn't have to be like pink and fluffy and luxury. It has to be deep depth and people feel you. And that not necessarily the pink and all that, it's all about ego. I'm just going to name it. It's all about ego looking pretty. That
Mm.
isn't meaning it's your work of art, no body of work.
Substance is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
The-
style and substance.
I think there's a big difference. And people think they have to have all this pink glittery, also. And it's not, it's about what's right and true for you.
Mhm.
What's alive in your DNA.
Mm. Just talking of that before we wrap up. I wrote a song back in 2002, and I just received a message this morning from my goddaughter, who is about 10 years younger than me. And she's like, "Oh, I hope you don't mind." And she's actually done a complete reinterpretation of this song. And it's like, that song's 25 years old. See this timeless, eternal essence.
Right.
You birth, you leave it out there. Like, I don't do anything with my music, it's just there. But to have somebody take that and reinterpret it 25 years later, amazing.
Yeah. And those are the things that last beyond us.
That's it. That was what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Talked about when we create for legacy. Okay, well, thank you so much.
And you.
I appreciate you. I thank you for your energy, your time, your wisdom, and that
Thank you
you gave me.
for inviting me. Thank
Yeah.
you. Take care.
Thanks.
Take
Bye.